All right, we're going to pull back the curtain on one of the most powerful and, most invisible forces in all of media, the psychology of the edit. This is the hidden science that literally determines what you watch, what you feel, and what you end up remembering.
You know that feeling, right? You're scrolling and one video just grabs you and refuses to let go. But then, the very next one, which might look just as professional, has you swiping away in less than a second. What is that? What's that invisible magic? Well, turns out it is not magic at all. And this is the core difference, isn't it? Some videos just feel flat. I mean, they could have the craziest, most expensive effects, but your mind wanders. You forget it the second it's over. But others, they feel hypnotic. They could be super simple, but you are locked in. You just can't look away. And those are the ones that stick with you. The difference isn't the camera or the graphics, it's the editing.
And that brings us right to the heart of it. The secret here isn't magic, it's the psychology of the cut. It's a deliberate science of understanding and controlling how our human brains process information.
So, what is editing psychology, really? Well, at its core, it's about understanding our own brain's programming. It's knowing that every single cut, every sound effect, every change in rhythm, that isn't just a technical choice. No, it's a tool to guide a viewer's attention and, way more importantly, their emotions.
See, a technician knows how to make a cut, but a psychological editor knows why that cut needs to happen at that precise nanosecond. They're not just asking, okay, where does the music go? They're asking, what exact feeling will this specific piece of music create in the viewer right now? It's all strategy, not just technique.
Okay, so how do they actually do it? Let's get into the toolkit, and we have to start with the most important battle of all, the fight for your attention. 3 seconds. That's it. I mean, in today's world, that is the entire window an editor has to convince someone's brain that what they're about to show them is way more interesting than the infinite abyss of everything else just to swipe away. So, how on earth do they win that fight?
Well, they kind of use our own psychology against us. Our brains are hardwired to notice motion, we're desperate to solve mysteries and close loops, and we absolutely react to the unexpected. An editor uses all of this to basically hijack your brain. It's exactly why the opening scene of The Social Network is so brilliant. The dialogue is just fired at you like a machine gun, so fast that your brain is forced into high gear just to keep up. It creates instant tension, and boom, you're engaged before you even know what's happening.
Okay, so grabbing attention is one thing, but let's be honest, our brains get bored incredibly fast. So how do editors hold on to that attention for minutes, or in some cases, even hours? They do it with something called a pattern break. See, our brains are amazing at recognizing patterns, but the second we figure one out, we start to tune out. A great editor knows this. So just as your brain is getting comfortable, they'll break the pattern, a sudden punch-in, an unexpected sound, a sharp cut to a totally new angle. This is a tiny jolt to your system that resets your focus and yanks you right back in. But once an editor has your attention, that's when the real work begins. Now they can start using their most powerful tool, your emotions. This is really where editing moves from a science into an art form. And the most fundamental tool here is pacing. Just think of it like the video's heartbeat. Super fast cuts, like in that insane docking scene from Interstellar, they just flood your brain with information, creating anxiety, energy, and a ton of excitement. But then you have these long, slow cuts, like those beautiful dance scenes in La La Land. They give you time to breathe, to really feel, to connect with the characters. A master editor plays this instrument perfectly, speeding up and slowing down, taking you on a total emotional roller coaster. And it's not just random either. The human brain is just desperate for structure. We need a story. Even in a 15-second clip, a good edit follows this simple mini journey. It gives you some context, it builds a little bit of tension, and then it delivers that satisfying payoff. Without this, a bunch of clips just feels like noise. With it, it feels meaningful.
This all leads to what you might call the magic sense of editing, emotional timing. It's that gut feeling of knowing exactly how long to hold on a character's face after they get bad news. If you cut away too early, you steal the moment's power. Hold for too long and it gets awkward. I mean, think about that iconic rain scene in The Shawshank Redemption. The reason that moment feels so huge and triumphant is because the editor just holds the shot, letting that emotion build and build and build until it just explodes. That is perfect timing.
And finally, none of this works if the editor breaks your trust. The emotional tone has to be consistent. If a video is dark and serious, then every single cut, every sound has to support that feeling. Look at a film like The Batman. It holds this heavy, oppressive rhythm for nearly 3 hours straight.
If it suddenly threw in a goofy slide whistle transition or some upbeat pop song, the entire world they built would just shatter. Consistency is what creates immersion.
Now, beyond just pure emotion, editors use a whole bunch of subconscious tricks to guide your senses and keep you locked onto that screen. And a lot of the time, you don't even realize it's happening.
So our brains are fundamentally a little bit lazy, and good editors totally exploit this. They know our eyes are automatically drawn to very specific things. Faces are a big one, any kind of movement, symmetry, and strong contrast. So they build their shots around these elements. That iconic staircase dance in Joker is a perfect storm of these tricks. You've got motion, you've got a human form, you have strong visual lines, all of it working together to make the shot completely and utterly hypnotic.
But, visuals are only half the story. In fact, you could argue that this next tool is even more powerful. Because sound doesn't get processed logically. It completely bypasses the analytical part of your brain and goes straight for the emotional center.
Just look at this breakdown. Each choice here creates a completely different reality for the viewer. You can use total, absolute silence to create unbearable tension. The entire film A Quiet Place is a masterclass in this. Or you can use a perfectly timed beat drop to create this massive feeling of release and excitement. Even subtle background ambience makes a scene feel real, immersive, and a single sharp sound effect can make a cut feel 10 times more impactful. Sound is the editor's emotional cheat code.
So we've seen how editors grab our attention, how they shape our emotions, and how they guide our senses. What does it all add up to? What is this secret power we've just uncovered?
It's this. Editing is not a passive task of just arranging footage. It is the active, deliberate, and scientific process of influencing what you see, what you feel, and what you think. It is the art of controlling a viewer's experience from one single frame to the next.
And so, I'll leave you with this final thought. You now have the blueprint. You've seen the science that's hiding behind the magic. So the next time you're watching a movie, a commercial, or even just scrolling through TikTok and you feel that pull, that hypnotic engagement, ask yourself why. Is it the pacing? Was that a pattern break? Was that a clever use of sound? Now that you know the secrets, what are you going to see?